Hi, in today's episode, we're still in EKS, so we have an EKS cluster, and we're gonna set up how to connect that EKS cluster to Dynatrace. I've been playing around with Dynatrace for the past week, and it's pretty good. It's a pretty good observation, monitoring, and alerting tool, especially for Kubernetes, because it gets the metrics from the pods, the deployment, services, the applications itself, and it also gets the metrics of the host or the worker node that it's running on. So if you're using AWS, it's going to get the metrics from the EC2 instance. So this is the architectural diagram of what we're about to set up. First thing, we're going to set up the AWS infrastructure using Terraform. So if you watch my previous videos, it's going to be the same thing. So I'm going to be creating the AWS infrastructure using Terraform. I'm going to be leveraging the VPC module from HashiCorp to create our network. And then I'm also going to use the KMS module to create the KMS key. You might be thinking, why do we need the KMS key in there? So for me, personally, I like to encrypt the volumes that the Kubernetes cluster will use. And then lastly, we're going to create the EKS cluster, of course, using the Terraform module. Once we've got the EKS cluster set up, then we'll do the Dynatrace and we'll set it up from scratch. Since it's a SaaS platform, we have to go to the website, sign up, create an account, confirm the email, log in, and then we're gonna download a dynacube.yaml to deploy the Dynacube 1 agent in our EKS cluster. And then after that, we're gonna deploy a sample, maybe an Nginx deployment with a service in the EKS cluster, and then we'll see what metrics it sends out to Dynatrace. Okay, let's go. Okay, so let's start. So in here, I have a blank repo, AWS EKS Dynatrace. And first, let's go and create the state bucket. So state bucket, it just holds the Terraform state files. It absolutely does nothing for the setup that we're gonna do, but this is for Terraform itself. Let's go and create the main.tf. Under main.tf, I'm gonna do the provider block. That's the Terraform code. And I'm just gonna add in region. And so for the region, I want this to be interpolated. So we're gonna use variables. Okay, so in here, I'm just gonna add in a new file as well. So variables.tf. That's where we're gonna put the variable region. I'm gonna add in the header first. And then let's do the variable region. Since I am in Australia, my closest region is in Sydney, so AP Southeast 2. This might be different for you, but that's the default. We're gonna use another file, which is the terraform.tf vars. So if you want to override the default values in here. Okay, let's go back to the main.tf. Next, I'm just gonna copy this out, and I am going to create the S3 bucket. And for the S3 code, it's just this one. So for the bucket name, this is the format that I'm gonna use, because for S3 buckets, as we all know, each bucket has to be unique globally. So I'll have a prefix of my AWS account ID, bucket, state file, and then I'm gonna add in Dynatrace in here. And then I'm also gonna add in some tags, and it's just fairly simple. This is actually just a sample on how to add tags in your resources. And so we're gonna create two new variables, AWS account ID and environment. Let's go here, and let's do that. AWS account ID. This is the AWS account ID, and I'm not going to put any default in there. For the next one, I think it is environment. So environment, and description would be AWS environment, and let's do just dev. All right. Okay, so that's done. Next, let's go and create the terraform.tf vars. And in terraform.tf vars, so I am going to stick with AP Southeast 2, which is my default. I'm also going to stick with dev in my environment variable. The only thing that I need to add in my TF vars is the AWS account ID. So in here, let's put a header. Let's remove this. And in here, AWS account ID. And the value is, let me open up my Google Chrome. So if you don't know your AWS account ID, it's just here. If you go and press the top right, account ID is over here. So I'm just gonna copy that. And I'm gonna paste it in here. And that's it. Okay, cool. Let's go run this. So let's go to terminal. Just gonna put it up a little bit. And let's go to the state bucket folder and do a Terraform init. All right, so that's initialized. And now let's do a Terraform plan. Okay, so it's gonna create one resource in here, which is the S3 bucket. Next is I'm gonna do a Terraform apply. And I am gonna pass in the flag auto approve, so it won't ask me if I wanna create those resources. All right, so that's it, apply complete. Let's go back to Chrome and I'm gonna go to S3 bucket and I'm just gonna sort out using the creation date, and here you go. And that is my newly created S3 bucket. All right, great. Now let's go and proceed with the actual creation of the network, the KMS key, and the EKS cluster. Okay, so we're back in the Visual Studio Code. I'm just gonna close these tabs and I am gonna close this terminal as well. Let's go and add in a new folder called Terraform. This is where the actual Terraform code to create the EKS cluster will be stored. I'm just gonna copy out these files as well, except this terraform.tf state. I don't need that. Okay, so that's copied out. Okay, so the provider block is here. I am just gonna add in the Terraform block. That is where we're gonna declare the S3 backend configuration. So in here, we'll put the bucket ID, which is this one. So I'm just gonna copy that one and I'm gonna paste it here. For the key, it doesn't matter, it's just a file name. So we can do EKS Dynatrace.tf state. This can be whatever. And then region is AP Southeast 2. And just to confirm, it's this one. So this might be different for you. All right, I'm gonna minimize this. I'm gonna tidy this up. S3 bucket, we're no longer creating that. We are actually creating a VPC. And let's remove this one. And we're gonna leverage the VPC module. Okay, I'm just gonna paste in the VPC code in here. For a more detailed breakdown, you can watch my how to create EKS from scratch. It's maybe like 4 or 5 videos back. You just search for it. And in that video, I'm pretty sure I described what each field is. But in summary, this will just create a VPC with 3 availability zones. And these are the values for the private subnet, public subnet, and intra subnet. It has one or a single NAT gateway, and these are the tags for Kubernetes. So Kubernetes requires us to tag the private and the public subnets. So it knows where to put the private load balancer and the public load balancer. And lastly, the tags for the VPC resources. Okay, and in here we're introducing a new variable called app name. So let me just go in here and add in app name, description, name of the app. There you go, so original. And I'm not gonna add in a default, I'm just gonna put it here, app name, and I'm just gonna put Dynatrace. There you go. Let's go back to main again, and it should create a VPC called Dynatrace-VPC. Let's try it out. So let's go back to the terminal I am gonna go to Terraform folder this time, and then let's do a Terraform init. Okay, init is done. Just gonna clear this up. Let's go and do a Terraform plan. All right, so in total, it's going to create 30 resources. That includes the VPC, the subnets, NACLs, and everything else in between. Let me just clear this up, and then let's do a Terraform apply. And same as before, I'm gonna pass in the flag auto approve so that I don't have to say yes when Terraform asks me if I really want to create those resources. Okay, so that's done. Let's go and confirm in the AWS console. Let's go to VPC, and I should be in Sydney. Yep, I am in Sydney region. VPCs, and there you go, Dynatrace VPC, and it should have just one NAT gateway, and everything looks good. Okay, let's go and create the KMS key. So going back in Visual Studio Code, let me close this up. I'm just gonna copy out the header and paste it here. Update that one to KMS, and for KMS, I'm just gonna paste in the code in here. So that's the source of the module, version, the key usage, encrypt, decrypt, key administrator, key owner. We're gonna create this, so don't you worry. And then the key service roles for auto scaling, which we need, the alias for the KMS key, and lastly the tags. Okay, let's go and create this data resource. I'd like to create it up top before any actual resource is created. So in here, I'm gonna put data, and I'm gonna paste it here. Cool. All right, so that's all we need for KMS. Let's go back to the terminal. I am in the Terraform folder. Since this is a new module, we need to do a Terraform init so that we can download the files required for that module, and then we'll do a Terraform plan. Cool. So 2 resources to add, which is the KMS key and the KMS key alias. Let me just clear this up. Let's go and do a Terraform apply, auto approve. Okay, that's kind of quick. Let's go and check in the KMS console, key management service, and that's the one, EKS Dynatrace. So that's the alias, and this is the key ID. Great. Now let's proceed with creating the EKS cluster. Let's go back to Visual Studio Code. Let's close this one. I am gonna add in the EKS header. There you go. And next I am going to paste in the EKS module code. So in here, just very briefly, cluster name, the app name variable, which is Dynatrace. Cluster version is 1.30. If there's a later version, just use that one. Endpoint is there as well. Cluster add-ons, you can put latest in this. I'm just gonna leave it blank. VPC ID, we're gonna use the output of the VPC module up top. So that's the VPC ID, the subnet IDs, and the control plane subnet IDs. So for me personally, I just like to separate the two. So the control plane and the worker nodes. Next is the defaults, and my default instance type is just a T3 medium. That's enough for this exercise. And then this is the configuration for the EKS managed node group, the AMI type for the worker nodes, instance type, what's the minimum, the maximum, and the desired size. So these are the number of instances that you want. And then the block device mapping. This is where the KMS key will come in. So what this does is the EC2 instance, the EBS volume that it's going to use will be encrypted using the KMS key in here. Next, we're gonna enable the cluster creation admin permissions. We're gonna set create KMS key to false because we're gonna be using our own. And then this is the cluster encryption configuration saying that, hey, use this KMS key. And lastly, the tags for the EKS cluster. And that should be it. Let's go back to terminal. I'm gonna use this. Let me clear this up. All right, since this is a new module, we need to do a Terraform init. Okay, That's initialized. Let's do a Terraform plan. Cool. So it's 37 resources to add. Let's go and clear this up. And let's do a Terraform apply, auto approve again. Okay, so that took a while. 37 resources created for the EKS cluster. Let's go and check. Let's go to EKS and we should be able to see Dynatrace. There you go. Dynatrace and version 1.30. And let's go and check the EC2 instances. And we should have 2 in there. All right. 2 worker nodes. Perfect. We're not done yet for the EKS cluster. We still need to do the EBS CSI and the storage class. So let me just copy out this header and put it below, and EBS CSI. For EBS CSI, this allows the EKS cluster to automatically spin up EBS volumes without any issues. And for that, let's go and paste. This one is actually a module provided by Terraform. Same thing, role name is prefixed with app name -EBS CSI. We're going to attach the EBS CSI policy and then the KMS key to use, OIDC. This one will get the output of the module above, the EKS module, the namespace for the service accounts, and of course the tag. All right, next we're going to be creating the AWS EKS add-on for the EBS CSI role in here. So cluster name would be the output of the module EKS cluster name. The add-on version will be handled by a data resource, which we'll be creating in a bit. And then service account role, that's the output of this module in here. And then the tags. Okay, so let's create this data resource. Just gonna go scroll up to the data section and I'm going to paste the AWS EKS add-on version data resource. That's the add-on name, which is the driver, and the Kubernetes version that we're using for our EKS cluster, which is 1.30. And that should be it for the EBS CSI. Let's go and create this one. Let's go to terminal. Let's go cd Terraform folder, Terraform init, since this is a new module for the EBS CSI. Cool. Let's clear this up. Terraform plan. All right, 4 resources to add. Next, let's do a Terraform apply, auto approve. All right, so that is done. Let's just do a quick check. Let me just maximize this and let's do it clear. Okay, and let's do AWS EKS list clusters. All right, Dynatrace. Next, I am going to do AWS EKS update kube config, and the name is Dynatrace. All right, that's cool. Next would be, let's go and check kubectl get pods. Okay, so we can successfully access the EKS cluster now. Let's just do a kubectl get SA, which is service account, and the namespace would be kube system, and EBS, there you go, EBS CSI is here 3 minutes 15 seconds ago. All right, perfect. Now what we want to do is we want to create a storage class. Let's do that. Let's do it using Terraform. All right, let's just go and copy out the header. And in here, let's do storage class. I'm gonna paste the code in here. So what this does is just it executes a Kubernetes file. That's all. So it's like executing kubectl apply -f the file, this file right here. And so that's it. The KMS key ID, I am just going to interpolate that with the output of the KMS module. So let's see if that works. But before we do a Terraform apply, I need to update the provider because we're going to be executing a kubectl command. So in the Terraform block, I'm just going to add in the required providers. And that should be it. Let me just align this one. All right. Okay, so that's gonna use this source. All right, that's cool. Now let's go back to terminal, and I am gonna go to Terraform. Let's do a Terraform init, because there's a new required provider, which is the kubectl. All right, so that's done. Let's do a clear, and let's do a Terraform plan. All right, cool. So it's going to be adding one Terraform resource, which is the kubectl manifest in there. Okay, before we do a Terraform apply, I'm just going to clear this up. I just want to show you the current storage class that we have. All right, so we only have one, which is GP2. So once we do a Terraform apply, we should be able to see a new one here called GP3 default. All right, let's do that. Let's do a Terraform apply auto approve. All right, so that is done. Let's do a quick check. Let's do the same command, kubectl get storage class, and there you go. GP3 default, that's the default. And it's using the EBS CSI. Perfect. All right, so that's it. I'm gonna close this terminal. I'm gonna close this files in here. Now that we have the EKS cluster ready and fully set up, let's go and create the dummy Nginx deployment that will send metrics to Dynatrace. For that, let's go and create a folder called apps. Oops, I'm just gonna pull this out and make sure that it's in the root. And under the apps folder, let's go and paste in the Nginx deployment file. Pretty straightforward, just one pod running the latest Nginx image on port 80. And next, we're gonna expose this deployment using a service. Let's go and paste in the Nginx service. Again, pretty straightforward. It just exposes that deployment using a load balancer. And that should be it. Let's go and run this. So terminal, and we're going to apps this time. And to create this, kubectl apply -f, and I'm just gonna do dot. So it should create the deployment and service. There you go. To confirm, let's just go kubectl get pods. There it is, and kubectl get service. Awesome. Let's go do another kubectl get pods. All right, running. And I am going to copy this, which is the DNS for the load balancer, and go to my web browser. And I'm just gonna reuse this one and port 80. All right, there you go. Welcome to Nginx. So everything is working as expected, which is nice. All right, next is setting up Dynatrace. All right, so we're in the last two steps, setting up Dynatrace and setting up the Dynatrace one agent in our EKS cluster. All right, I'm just gonna reuse this tab and search for Dynatrace. I'm just gonna go in here and I'm gonna click on free trial and just put in any email, personal email, doesn't matter. And by clicking this box, continue, just provide a password. First name, just gonna put in my first name, last name, my job title, current job title is I am a, put in DevOps engineer. For company, crack the code with Ant-Man. Country is Australia. Deploy region closest to me is definitely Sydney. And what is this? It's optional, so I'm just gonna skip that. Optional also, and optional as well. And I think that should be it. So I'm just gonna go and click start free trial. Okay, so that took about 5 minutes for me. I'm just gonna hit launch Dynatrace, and that is our custom Dynatrace ID. Great, so we're in the Dynatrace UI now, and in here you can see the 15-day left in the free trial. You should also receive an email from Dynatrace welcoming you to the Dynatrace free trial. And let's proceed in deploying the one agent. Let's go to the search function, and I'm just gonna type in deploy, and deploy one agent. I'm going to be deploying the one agent in Kubernetes. Okay, now we're ready to input some values. For the name, this is going to be the name of the one agent deployment. And for now, let's just input Dynatrace EKS. For group, I'm just going to put it as dev. And for the Dynatrace operator token, I'm just going to create the token. I'm also going to create another token for the data ingest. Now that the tokens are created, I'm just going to download the dynacube.yaml. I'm going to open up Visual Studio Code, and under the apps folder, I'm going to paste the dynacube.yaml in here. That should be it. And let's go back to terminal. And I'm going to apps. Let's go and create the Dynatrace namespace. kubectl, create namespace Dynatrace. First, let's do a Helm repo list. Let's see what's in there. Okay, so only Prometheus. This is for my previous YouTube video. Then let's add in the Dynatrace operator. Okay, let's do another Helm repo list. Just to double check. Yep, it's available. And now let's do a Helm install Dynatrace operator on that repo. All right, deployed. Let's do a quick check. kubectl get pods in the Dynatrace namespace. Perfect. That's good. Let's just wait for this one. Okay, let's do another quick check. And everything is running, which is great. Next, let's do a kubectl apply on this file, the dynacube file. Let's go to apps. And then let's do a kubectl apply -f dynacube. Okay, I think that should be it. Let's go back to the browser and let's go show deployment status. All right, so nothing yet. Let's go check again, and let's do kubectl get pods in the Dynatrace namespace. Okay, so it's starting. Let's just give it a bit of time. Okay, let's do a quick check again, and everything is good. Great. Let's go back to the browser and let's do a refresh. All right. Great, there you go. So the two EC2 instances are here. Let's go and check the dashboard again. Just hit Dynatrace to go back to the main page. And in here, I'm just gonna go Kubernetes. And let's see if we can see the Nginx deployments. Okay, so for the new UI, it seems that you need to pay for it. It's not part of the free trial, I guess. Let's just use the Kubernetes Classic. And it should be enough for our use case. Okay, so there's the deployment that we created. Let's go there. It's detecting 5 namespaces. And let's go to the default namespace. I think that's where the Nginx deployment is. Okay, since this is a fresh install, there's still no CPU, no memory, no pod data yet, but it can see the deployment. It can see the services. This is the load balancer that we created. And let's just wait for now. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes. Let's do a reload of data. Okay, there you go. Yay. All right, that is so cool. Like we have CPU metrics, memory metrics, the number of pods even is in here. We can go to the Nginx service if you want. And if you want to get alerts or notifications for your services or pods or deployments or for anomaly detection, you just go to settings, and under settings there is integration, where are you? Yep, integration, and you can set up your Slack or your email in here. All right, so that's it. You've got 15 days to play around with Dynatrace. I suggest you do, because it's a good SaaS monitoring and alerting platform. All right, until next time.